Hello everybody and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about a game series that really doesn't need much introduction, as I'm sure many of you guys are already familiar with it, and that is of course Five Nights at Candy's. Over the years there has been much discussion on exactly which games in this series are the best, and I thought now would be a great time to do as ever, with the fourth game slowly making its way towards release. I'm not quite sure when it will come out. In order to make this a pain-free process, I'm simply going to go through all three of the games in a bit more detail just for you guys to, refresh your memories, and at the end give my thoughts on which one is indeed the best one. Now, starting the video with something all FNAF fans should be quite familiar with, the one and only first Five Nights at Candy's, which released only 1 year after the original Five Nights at Freddy's. In order to make the video, a bit more nice and fit the correct aspect ratio, I will be playing through the remastered of FNAF 1, but it's pretty much the exact same from the original, just graphically improved. I mean, you already know that your Five Nights at Freddy's fan game is doing pretty well if you create a remaster to it 5 years later. Now, to be honest with you guys, there really isn't too much to be said about Five Nights at Candy's 1 that hasn't been said already. I mean, it is definitely the most popular FNAF fan game of all time and lots of people's favorite. It does indeed follow that classic Five Nights at Freddy's formula. I mean, it is completely based off the first game and is very similar in some ways, but at the same time it innovates to create its own identity. Of course, you've got the children's entertainment establishment, this time being burger and fries instead of being a pizzeria. You've got two closable doors side by side, which after a while actually do lift up, which I believe wasn't a part of the original, but it could have been. New additions from the original FNAF are of course the ticket booth in front of you, which blank will smash in unless you close it, and the night vision cameras as well. With the use of night vision comes a very unique gameplay mechanic where the majority of the characters, apart from ones like the cat and the rat, do have glowing eyes in the dark, so you don't technically need night vision to see them, which can help you save power. However, to actually check if they are adjacent to your office on the cameras, then you do need to use night vision. And quite unlike Five Nights at Candy's 2, resource management is actually key in this game. I mean, after all, it is based off the original Five Nights at Freddy's. It is also quite easy, and especially the later nights, but even the earlier ones, to get very much overwhelmed. Story wise, the game takes place in 1987, around the time FNAF 2 takes place. You play as Mary Schmidt, who is also a worker at the robot factory. In a nutshell, she pretty much fell asleep at work, which led to many children being killed in this machine, which we can see through different segments of CCTV throughout the end of different nights. In night 2 or 3, we see a bloody endoskeleton. This would later become the cast of Candy's, which pursue Mary for revenge. Whilst I do have to agree with my good friend Donny Productions that this game is slightly overrated, especially because it can be considered just a clone of FNAF 1, aside from that I do think it is very polished, and of course nostalgia does kick in. And now we are moving on to FNAF 2, and god, this game is much worse than I remember. Now the funny thing is, this actually used to be my favourite Five Nights at Candy's, and actually my favourite FNAF fan game in general, so I was obviously deluded when I was a kid. Sorry, it just hit me now. I actually remember why this was my favourite game, because it was piss easy, that's why. The gameplay and gameplay mechanics in this entry are just quite, terrible. This game is the exact culmination of when you ask your parents, can I go and play some Five Nights at Freddy's free, and they tell you we have it at home. It is pretty much just like the Wish Dollar Tree version of FNAF 3's mechanic, where you try and learn animatronics using sound cues. Not only does the reduced aspect ratio make the game feel claustrophobic, but also the fact you can't even really move around your office. I mean, all you can do is flash a light and look at your cameras. For some reason, neither the monitor or your cell phone that you've been using all night to flash these animatronics has a battery, which does make the game just piss easy. So let's talk about the general gameplay loop. You flash the light, you see animatronic in front of you, there's 3 stages in which they can get close to you, the 4th one obviously you being jump scared and killed. When you see an animatronic in the hallway in front of you, you ring a phone in another room using the cameras, they go there, and that's it. Literally the whole game is just flashing in front of you and ringing a phone in a random camera. I mean, you don't even really have to flash in front of you, because if you check the cameras and the animatronics know where to be found, then you already know that they are in front of you. I mean, I guess the one caveat to this is that they can break the phone if you leave them in the room with it ringing for too long, but you just quickly disable it before they can even get a chance to do that. I mean, I guess another thing to look out for is Chester and Old Candy trying to get in through the vents. but you just go to the camera where the banging is coming from and ring the phone to spook them. Yeah, this whole game is kinda poo-poo. Story-wise, you play as Marilyn Schmidt, who is allegedly the daughter of Mary Schmidt. Wow, very creative naming there, guys. She is a 17-year-old girl who in the year of 2007 unfortunately loses a bet and so has to spend 5 nights at an abandoned factory. If you get game overed by any other character than the cat or the rat, you will see a newspaper clipping of her simply going missing. However, if you do get killed by the rat or the cat, then you will see a newspaper clipping of her getting brutally mauled to death by some metallic object, something that resembles some bear claw marks. And now we can indeed clearly identify that not only the gameplay is flawed but also the story. I mean, first of all, who the hell would make a bet of staying at a factory, or abandoned factory, for 5 entire nights? And secondly, once Marilyn found out that there are killer robots in there, then why on earth did this dumbass return for 4 more nights? I mean, true, I don't know the context and I don't know what she weighed up against the bet, but why would she do it in the first place? Just say you did it anyway. I mean, how could they prove that you didn't go to the abandoned factory? Okay, I'm getting way too stuck into FNAF 2 lore, so instead, let's just move on to the third game, alright? The second one, it shines sometimes, maybe a bit, but yeah, it's not as good as I remembered. But hey, at least the mini games in between the nights were cool, especially the music with them. Oh yeah, and can't forget the trailer, that was pretty dope as well. And now moving on to Five Nights at Candy's 3, which is at the moment the latest game in the franchise and is the end of the Mary Schmidt storyline. Thankfully, in this game, Emil seriously upped his game in terms of the quality. I mean, don't get me wrong, it still has that goofy ass aspect ratio, but it looks actually really good for Click Team. As a nice little change of pace, this time around you're not actually fighting animatronics, but instead monsters that are created as a figment of your imagination due to trauma. This time around, the game takes a FNAF 4 approach, placing you in the bedroom of a young child. The whole room is in pitch darkness apart from a small area which you illuminate with your flashlight. Personally, I think this is an effective way of building tension as you're only able to focus on a very limited part of your surroundings. In contrast to Five Nights at Candy's 2 and even the first game, in some aspects the gameplay is very nice. You must constantly play and rewind the music tape, which makes the nights go by twice as fast. This once again builds on the tension as you can no longer observe what's around you and are easily prone to the monster rat getting into the room. When he does get in, you must track his head, then see which side he is under the bed, then face the opposite way until you hear a creak and confront him once again. Monster Cat can pop his head up around your bed frames and do some other weird stuff. But it's not just the nights themselves that made this game so interesting, it's actually the mini games in between and how much lore you're exposed to. Before each night, you can access what is called the dreamscape, where all your unconscious memories and stuff like that is. I think that these sequences were a nice change of pace and were complemented well with the other 8-bit mini games, which played a bigger role in terms of storytelling. In terms of the lore, you play as young Mary Schmidt in the 1960s, who is often at the Cat and Rat Theatre House. Here, you witness some grisly murders which traumatizes you into hallucinating what we fight at night. This includes the puppeteer guy who becomes the Vinny monster person in night 6, and that's actually a really cool night, very difficult though. Overall, a very solid game. And now, after 8.5 minutes of yapping later, I can come to the conclusion that Five Nights at Candy's 3 is indeed the best one. Five Nights at Candy's 2 is ass, and the first one is actually pretty good, but not quite as good as the third one. Well, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe, and leave down in the comment section below which Five Nights at Candy's game was your personal favourite. I'll see you guys later, and goodbye.